Annyeong, it's Mikey here, and today you guys will be surprised with the new lighting setup. I'm trying to do something a little bit more and really improve the visuals that you get in my videos. I'd love to hear your guys' feedbacks in the comments below in terms of what you guys think. Today we have to thank Keebz N Cables. They're bringing me the Cherry Petal switches, which I really want to try. I've been falling in love with the MX Cherry Blacks, and I'm okay with the browns, but the browns are a little bit iffy, especially with the springs. So what we're going to be doing today is stock test of the Cherry Petal switches, and then I'm going to be doing a lubing and spring swap so you guys can hear the two differences and really see what the switch can do. So let's go straight into that, but please make sure to like and subscribe. My apologies everyone that the audio in the intro was horrible. That's just because the actual recording got removed and actually deleted on my computer and I wasn't able to find it. Now this is the Cherry MX Petal, and I actually love the Cherry switches, but this one, we're gonna have to see how this is because the browns really weren't great, and I'm hoping that this is gonna feel a lot better compared to the old ones. So let's hear a sound test.
So that was the stock pedal switch. Let me give you guys an example of the switch standalone with the actual one that I modified for this video. So I did a spring swap and I lubed just the sides of the switch. So let's hear that. So overall, I think that by lubing and actually modifying and changing the springs, it actually helps these cherry pedals a lot more. Now the stock cherry pedals is not bad. I'm going to be honest, it really isn't. But by changing the springs, I felt a little bit more of a tactile bump. Now in terms of the travel distance, so when we're traveling, it's going to be 17.9 to 3.8. But we're going to measure that just in case again, just to see what we're getting, because this should be a 4mm travel, which the second time we got it properly at 17.8 to 13.8. So we are dealing with a full travel switch, which I honestly love the most. I think full travel really does feel better when you're typing, and I really like the MX switches just because of that, as well as even like the HMX Sonyas. Now this is the top housing. This is made out of nylon, and I think that honestly, the design and the color of this is really nice. So it is a little bit of a see-through, and it's a very, very nice light pink. Now the bottom housing is also nylon, and you will see here the leaf contact point is actually slightly lubed, which is going to help a little bit with the smoothness, but overall cherry switches have a scratch to it, which you would have heard actually in the sound test, and they do have a little bit of scratch overall, even though there is lubing on the sides and the leaf. Now going into the spring. So this is the thing I'm not a big fan of for cherry switches, is that they use very short springs. This is definitely a lot lighter than they used to be. They used to be very, very heavy. Now this is much lighter at like 45 grams, but it's still 16mm, which I'm not a big fan of. I personally enjoy longer springs, so that's why I did a spring swap. And this is going to be the stock stem. So as you can see here, this is going to have a decent amount of lube that's already done to it, which is why I didn't actually go around lubing the whole thing fully, because I didn't feel like there was a necessary need to do so when they already have a very decent stock lubing to them. But there is something I want to do in terms of the stock lubing, just a little bit. But as you see here on the stem as well, so where the contact point for the stem and the leaf hits, there will be a little bit of lube that's also done there as well. I think even with this lubing, you are still going to feel a lot of the scratch. So if you are someone who doesn't like MX scratch, just keep in mind that's what you're dealing with. Now another thing to note, this is still going to be a longer pull than your usual MX switches, as you can see there when it comes down from the stem. Now I want to also show you guys the modified version of the cherry pedal, which I really think is a much nicer and better version, which I think everyone, once you get the switch, highly I recommend that you do this. So as you'll see here, once I take out the stem, what I mean by I lube just the sides, so you know how there's the rails there, I actually just added a little light lubing to beside the sides of the rails. So that's just something that I thought would help a little bit of the smoothness, and then the front and the backs of the stem as well. So you'll see there, that's still the stock lubing on the actual rail portion, and then I'll have added some lube from the front and the back of the stem. I think that overall helped a little bit in terms of how the switch felt, especially once I did do the modified version, and I really liked it. It was really more of a solid sound, and it provided a little bit more of like that tactile bump, which I really enjoyed. And this is the spring that I use. So it's the TTC Elastic 24mm spring. This is something that's available on Unikeys, which you can grab on Unikeys using code Mikey and save 7%. But the switch itself, you can also grab from Keebz N Cables, which is who sent out the switch to me, because I really wanted to try this, as I've really been enjoying more MX switches. Now, really overall, I believe the modified version just provides more of a solid sound and a better feel in terms of the tactility, which I think more people will enjoy overall. Very well done, and honestly, I'd love to see them do even more switches like this, because you know what, the MX 2A Blacks are great, but why not do something cool and new and really improve on what they're doing. Now the next thing we're going to look at is going to be the decibel test. So the sound tests in my videos aren't going to be exactly in terms of loudness like what you hear in life, because I have to make it work for YouTube videos. So the decibel test should give you guys an idea of how loud these switches can be. So this one averages around the 64 decibels. And 64 decibels is not going to be a super loud switch, but it's not going to be very quiet either. It's going to be just around the volume where you have people talking around you, and say if you're in an office space, like just conversations that would happen around you. Now to show you guys comparatively, so the left one is going to be the stock Cherry, and then the right one is going to be the modified version, just to show you guys how the actuation is like. So you can see here in the terms of the travel, it is 4mm, and the left and the right are going to feel very different depending on how you modify it. So the left is much lighter, and once you get past the bump, so when you see here going all the way there, that's the bump end, and then you have a little bit of travel. While the modified version, it feels like it goes a little bit lower in terms of the bump. So that's why I feel like the tactility is actually a little bit stronger in this one, because it feels like it goes just a little bit past the original point for the tactile bump. So that's what you will notice with the specific changes when you do modify it, like I did with the 24mm single stage spring from TTC. I really appreciated how each one feels very different. Now in terms of the stem wobble, so on the top end you get very little rattling, which is awesome to see, and then once you press it down, they did an amazing job on this too. So you're getting like no stem wobble at all on the switch, which is an amazing thing and very good for stability. And I think a lot of people are going to enjoy the fact that you have zero stem wobble with the switch. Now going into the backlighting. So one thing to note, yes, the lighting is going to be affected by the housing color. So you are going to be looking at more of a pink color, especially if you are using a white light. So keep in mind, this is going to affect the lighting, as well as the fact that it's not going to be too bright either. So if you are looking for something that has bright lighting, this isn't really going to be that. Now going into the spreadsheet. So this spreadsheet will be available on my Discord. Just join up. It's in the description below, so you can join there. This is where I measured it out. So I put both in here so you guys can get an idea how they both measure. The stock Cherry Petals is going to be a medium switch, right? So 64 decibels at 250 hertz. That's where I'm just putting the anchor point, right? Just so you guys can get an idea where this switch lands depending and comparing with other switches, right? Where the medium point would be. And then the modified version actually has a little bit of a higher profile in terms of the sound. So these are the differences when you get this and you modify it compared to stock. And I would say compared to say like the Browns, these are going to be a little bit more higher sound profile. So if you do like something a little bit higher than the Browns, this might be one for you to check out. My final thoughts in terms of the Cherry Petals is that they're still a Cherry switch, which means that I think they still require a little bit of that extra spring swap just to make it a little bit better. I do appreciate that these springs have gotten lighter and it does feel really nice, but the tactile on the switch is still going to be very light tactile. I did actually enjoy this. In general, I enjoy the MX Cherry stuff. I really do enjoy the scratches they provide, and if you are someone who loves that cherry scratch, these might be ones that you really want to try out. I think these are better than the Browns for sure, especially even with the stock springs. I'll have the links in the description. You guys can go check out them yourselves. And of course, check out the other videos I got, and I'll have to catch you guys next time.